How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? JT here on behalf of the Ethfinance community on Reddit, and thanks to the EV Mavericks once again for hosting this happy hour for this day, October 18, 2024. This is episode 83. We got James Kiernan from Octant in the house. Say hello to the world, James.
Hey, everybody. I'm really stoked to be here, and thanks for having me, JT.
Yeah, glad to have you too. I think you got to unmute on Discord just so you can. There we go. You got to say it again. Let's hear your voice.
Yeah, wrong music channel.
We're doing it live, baby.
we got two different ones going. Yeah, well, thanks again, everybody, for having me, and appreciate you inviting me on, JT.
Yeah, love to have you back, man. You've been a good friend of mine for a while now. I was told in a private chat, my ears were burning yesterday on the Twitter call that you had about how long we've actually known each other. We were kind of connected at the hip a couple of ETH Denvers ago, so we'll get into that in a bit. But before we do, the Weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the Ethfinance community on Reddit. This is a read-along reaction series, and if you want to follow along, head to dailydoots.com, designed and produced by our very own Hanny Abu. Big thanks to Tricky Troll, and lately we've had Equal Jellyfish and the A-Word helping up on the Daily Doots because Tricky went camping for about 8 days. So thanks to all three of those guys for helping out, getting our Daily Doots tabulated every day. And of course, the A-Word for this beloved weekly list we're going to get into after a bit. Subscribe to us on Apple. If you're on iTunes, just search Ethfinance EV Mavericks. It's also available on Libsyn, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. You can also mint this episode after the show, about 30 minutes or so after we go off the air. I'll have it up on pods.media/EV Mavericks. And by the way, that might be some kind of a useful thing to do. We're going to start doing a free mint on there. It might be a good idea to go ahead and start minting those episodes. It'll cost you, I think, all of 1 penny for the platform cost and a little bit of gas at pods.media. So that's something you should consider. If you're watching my streaming window on Discord, make sure that you mute that window to avoid any echoes in your headphones. And as always, if you know anyone that wants a piece of this action, let's send them my way. Well, we're going to switch right on over to our rich list for the week. You know what? I saw that we had crossed over. I'm going to start going all the way to the bottom first because we have now 1,000, I believe, 94 total duders have joined the list. Our top 10 for this week: Ethical Trade at 97, Crypto Wild Currency at 101, Set One List at 103, 696 also at 103. They're neck and neck, ladies and gentlemen. Harog is in the house here on chat at 115, Tricky Troll at 123, Benito 2030 climbing up to 149. Logri the Bard has crossed over. He's at 151, and Super Fizz sits at the top of the list at 218. All right, so now we got to move into our upcoming guests. We got Paul Brody from EY coming on November 1st. So you're going to have to rub that chocolate out of your face from Halloween, show up here and listen to what he's got to say. I think they've been doing some stuff with Pi USD, I believe. PayPal and EY have been doing a little thing. November 22nd, Nico from Lotto PGF, which is also a public goods funding platform. And then we got December 6th, Mac from Kiwi News. So I think this is the first time we've had 3 future guests already. We're always looking for more. If you want to help me, help the team, you can either get a hold of Ben Broad or myself, any of the team. We got Hanny out there too. If you know somebody who wants to jump on the show, we're always looking for projects, big and small. And I really like the small projects. Gives them a chance to breathe a little bit and show us what they're working on. All right, so we're going to get into our opener here. We got the morning roundup. Hey, Chibi chimes in. Ethereum, Frank the Tank gives us a price at 26.19. Hanny Abu with a ratio at 38.61. A weekly haiku courtesy of JS Tears. It goes like this: until next price hike, community stays dreamlike. All around, hitchhike. How does he do it? JS Tears, how do you do it? And our shit post of the week, because we always like to save the best for first, by user 15K is FUD. And a simple line: what happened? Did the ETF get approved? Oh, you gotta love it. 15K is fun with our shit post of the week. All right, well, that's gonna bring us straight back over to James from Octant. James has limited time this morning. Yeah, I'm gonna let you just take over, man, because you've got so many things going on. There's so many projects that you guys have been able to help. I hope that the last 6 months of bringing this all together and showing this project off has made you feel pretty good about waking up every day. And let's hear about what's going on in your world and some things we got coming down the pike.
Yeah, man. I'm really excited about what's going to be happening in 2025. I'm going to be sharing a little bit of alpha with you all today around that. We haven't been communicating about this too much, but that's going to start changing really soon. So if anybody doesn't know the backstory with Octant, Octant is a project that was born out of Golem Foundation. Not many people know about this because they didn't do a really good job communicating about it when there was a split, but Golem divided into two separate entities all the way back in 2019. And so there's still that initial Golem project. They're alive and well, building that peer-to-peer marketplace for computing power. But Golem Foundation sits on the other side of the ecosystem that is looking at different ways in which we can create utility for the GLM token. And so that's how Octant was essentially born, was when Ethereum transitioned over to proof of stake not too long ago, and us sitting on a pretty hefty treasury that Golem is pretty renowned for. We decided to do something really interesting and hopefully very impactful with it, which was born out of the idea that we can use staking yield to fund projects that are providing value to not only the Golem ecosystem, but more beyond the Ethereum ecosystem. So we've been running for a little over a year now, and I think we've funded about 50-something impactful projects. We have a round that's currently live right now. The Doots and a couple other Doot affiliated or EV Maverick affiliated projects are participating. And so, yeah, really excited that we're able to support you guys and drive some hopefully impactful funding your way. But what I wanted to share with you all today is something that we've been working on pretty diligently behind the scenes, and what I think is going to be one of the really big things that's going to be taking place within the Ethereum ecosystem for 2025 and beyond. And so we're calling that Octant V2. And the idea behind V2 is right now, Octant, a lot of it operates off-chain on our own server. And, there's a lot of drawbacks to that. So what we're building instead, or in parallel to what we currently have right now, is a fully on-chain protocol that essentially is born out of the idea of how can we scale what Octant is doing much bigger, and getting a lot of other very big actors in the space that also have some sort of sustainable yield, and getting them to fund what is impactful for their ecosystem as well. And so maybe I can share my screen a little bit, or actually, let me do this. I'll share a link in the chat. Don't go sharing this with everybody yet, because we still have a couple things to figure out, but this is an overview. Oh, I can't post.
Send me the link.
Can't post links. Let me post a broken link in the chat here and see if.
And then I should be able.
I'll see if.
You could also.
Boom. There we go.
And I'll share it on.
So you'll have to delete that space that I put in between Octant.app and Notion. Thank you, 696. I appreciate that. So let me share my screen as well. On this share, Windows screen.
Yeah, just share
advanced.
on Discord or on Zoom.
No, it's not going to let me do that. Let me maybe pull it over this way. I'll just share it on desktop one.
Perfect.
So I'm not going to go into all of this. You guys can read the doc, but essentially we are building a system that is going to allow all of the major players in the ecosystem to do what Octant is doing. And so if there is some sort of sustainable yield that a ecosystem has. So, you can envision a lot of L2s with their sequencer fees, MEV capture, DeFi yield, so like Uniswap, players like that. And if you also have a token, just like we have the GLM token, you have the Uni token, you have the ARB token, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this is going to allow for all of those ecosystems to spin up a system just like we are doing with Octant. And so not only is that going to empower these ecosystems to start funding public goods or just grants in general in a similar fashion, being a community-driven initiative, but we're also thinking of a way in how can we connect all of these big players together to fund what we were calling the meta pool. Apparently something already exists called the meta pool. It's like a project down in Latin America. So we're going to have to come up with something else around this. But a certain portion of everyone's yield is going to be contributing to this meta pool. And so that's going to do two separate things. It's going to allow actors to essentially tap into potentially more funds than they're contributing, but it's also going to allow us to collectively run rounds for things that are vitally important for each of these ecosystems. So you can imagine that being things like Protocol Guild or Ethereum Attestation Service or educational initiatives, climate initiatives, whatever we are collectively thinking is extremely important. We're going to be able to run rounds collectively together. And the big key with all of this is that this is going to be coming from a sustainable source of yield. So, one of the big things right now in public goods funding is that, there's been a hell of a lot of money that's been given out, but so far there hasn't been a path for these funds to be consistently given out. Gitcoin, for all the great work that they're doing, they have to raise these funds each time, and this is true in a lot of different areas that are funding public goods. And so this protocol is going to allow for this sustainable yield capture, so that we can sustainably fund what is important, so that Ethereum just has this leg up advantage for the foreseeable future. And I don't have the full technical knowledge around this. Maybe we can get, our head of engineering or our head of product on a call in the future when we have a few more things figured out. But there's a lot of different aspects to this that are going to incentivize what we're calling dragons. Dragons are these big actors that I've been mentioning that we like to use this terminology because the metaphor behind it is that, dragons sit on piles of gold and they don't really do anything with it. They just kind of sit on it and it's just there. So getting dragons into the system so that they're contributing to this meta pool while also funding what's important to them. Also getting the degens, the folks that are profit motive oriented into the system so that they are able to do what they want to do in generating profit, but also utilizing that motivation to where a portion of what they are contributing also goes towards projects that are providing a hell of a lot of value in the space. So to give you an idea of how that flywheel works, this is going to be based upon impact. So if you're not familiar with how Hypercerts works, Hypercerts is this project that you can mint a fractional NFT when funds have been given out. And that fractionalized NFT goes to all of the folks that donated to a specific project. So in the case of Octant right now, imagine that you donate to the Doots in a live round. Well, we can then issue that fractionalized NFT, and then later on down the road, if there are folks that want to purchase that impact, then some of that funding that goes to purchasing that impact is then driven back to the initial funders of it. So say the Doots provides a hell of a lot of impact that is recognized by Optimism or some kind of Web2 foundation. Well, then the people who were initially funding the Doots, earlier on in that life cycle, then some of that money goes back to them. And so we're kind of thinking, how can we start to create an economic flywheel that incentivizes people to not only donate on vibes, but to instead think about where do I want to put my money? Where do I think this money is going to provide impact? Because if I do fund something that's going to be impactful, I can essentially get rewarded for it. So this is the big, hairy, audacious goal, is to scale up what Octant is doing and bringing on a hell of a lot of other actors that have this power, that have this sustainable yield to collectively come together so that we can just secure Ethereum's advantage for the foreseeable future. This is the big vision that we're creating. Let me see here if I can.
I like the flywheel analogy. It's almost like it's almost going to be like a flywheel of flywheels. If all the different projects, like for instance, I was already thinking in my mind, if there's funding coming our way, originally we were thinking, use somebody to fund the podcast, pay for the hosting we have some bills, but they're not that big, right? So what if we were able to just take the funds and then restake it? And so you're still keeping that momentum in-house that can still be added to, but the residual funds that could be dispersed off of that from time to time could be literally things like giveaways and stuff that could kind of drive engagement without buying engagement. I don't know if that makes sense, but something I was toying around with is, if we took some funding, we stake it, we make a little bit of yield off of it. And then what we could do is, if people minted the podcast at pods.media for free, right? It doesn't cost anything, because we don't want to get in this idea of selling chances to win, because now you're starting to get into legal shit. So you pay like a penny in gas. It doesn't matter if you buy one episode or $999, doesn't matter. We figured out that pods.media spits out a text file that has all of the Ethereum addresses that purchased the NFT, air quotes purchased. So then we could use like a random address picker of some kind the following week from the people that previously minted the NFT. And I was thinking, how about $25 USDC, but then also a few Golem. And then they can do with the Golem, restake it, or they can do whatever. But it's like, I'm wondering how many people would just, screw it, put the Golem back in the pot, or stake on behalf, or use it in one of the rounds to support the podcast. Then you can generate more of that quadratic funding mechanism. I don't know. It's just, we're spitballing it. We're trying to figure out a way for it to not be Sybil attacked. Somebody has to go through the effort to get the wallet open, to go to pods.media to mint the NFT. That's a step. It doesn't cost anything, so we avoid some of the legal stuff. We're just open to ideas, and obviously everybody's sitting on Discord. You could type in the chat if you want some ideas. And what do you think about that? This way, even lurkers, we're not going to do it based off of, how, let's say, the EV Mavericks were distributed by commenting in the daily, because as we know, that left out lurkers. As we also know, it left out top level posters. But the podcast, it's like, we're not going to do it based on if you can show up at 12 Eastern or whatever ridiculous hours we do this, because people have to work and some people sleep, I've been told. And so I don't know. I feel like this is the easiest way to allow people a chance to win something. And if they want to do something with the winnings, they can. And, put another spin on that flywheel and just keep it going. So Orson says in chat, hey, that's me. I sleep sometimes.
I got to learn how he does that. He or she.
Tell us your secrets. Okay. So,
you bring up a really good point, and why I'm really excited for you to be chatting with Nico in a couple weeks around Lotto PGF, because that's something we've been thinking about as well. So specifically with Octant, if there's anybody here, I'm sure there's a few people in the audience that were a part of that onboarding call that we had, or one of the few onboarding calls that we had with the EV Mavericks community. Yeah, one of the things we've been trying to think about is how can we start to channel that profit motivation and directing that motivation towards funding public goods. And so this is going to be the first round that we launched what we're calling the public goods sweepstakes. And the back end of this project was actually built by Nico and the Lotto PGF team. So for this upcoming round, there's a really big incentive if you fund public goods within this active Octant round. So the way that it works is that should you fund any project, any amount, and then you also go acquire some amount of points on our guild platform, and I can drop links in the chat here in a little bit. You're going to be entered into a drawing where the top prize winner at current prices is going to be walking away with about $70,000 USD. There's also going to be some mid-tier winners that are going to be walking away with, I think, a little over $13,000 USD at current prices. And so that's literally just a drawing from the folks that participated in this round. So we're trying to think of these win-win scenarios where public goods are getting funded, but there's also community members that are walking away potentially with a hell of a lot of money as well. And so that's going to be on a live call on around November 5th. Normally the call is on November 5th, but that's election day, and we're probably going to be doing it the day before or day after because, you know, there's going to be a ton of chaos going on that day.
You better do it the day before.
Probably the day before, yeah. Maybe give some people some hope here before they could just go into a hole and start crying on that Tuesday.
Yeah, there's going to be.
But yeah, we're
go ahead.
Yeah, you know, we don't want to talk about politics. We don't want to bring that up. But yeah, I can definitely see that messaging getting drowned out on Tuesday. So probably want to do that the day before. Yeah, we're thinking in a lot of different ways, and how can you create these win-win scenarios where folks that are participating are winning, and then the folks that are providing value, that are building amazing projects in the space are also winning as well. And so that's one of the key things that we're really intent on within Octant. And yeah, I can chat about that a little bit more if there's questions around that. But yeah, if there's any of the EV Mavericks that are listening to this, do make sure that you check out how to participate in the public goods sweepstakes, because if you're already donating to public goods in Octant, you've done the majority of the work that is necessary to opt into the project or into the process.
So we got a chat question from Orson. Hey, James, I know this is unlikely, but can non-crypto public goods projects apply for funding at Octant?
Oh, it is not unlikely at all. It's already happening. So one of the biggest recipients of Octant to date has been Tor. Tor providing a hell of a lot of value into the privacy tech area. They're not Web3. They're not Web3 at all.
No.
Although they are maybe Web3 adjacent, because so many folks in crypto care about their privacy. They care about their autonomy. Yeah, they don't have any sort of Web3 integrations or anything like that. And they have been round over round one of the recipients within Octant. We've had some others as well. They've had a little more of a challenge in drumming support, but I would just akin that to Octant still being relatively new and the community relatively small. But as we begin to scale this up, yeah, we definitely want to start making bigger inroads into Web 2, into areas like I mentioned before, education, climate, things like this. A lot of these there's a lot of projects out there that are providing value that don't necessarily have any direct connection to Web3, other than maybe receiving money from Octant or some other grant giving platform. So
This is
Orson, not a bad question at all, but yeah, it's already happening. So if you have a project that's providing value, please feel free to apply. The application window is going to be opening a couple weeks after this round closes in November. So jump into the Discord or follow us on Twitter to make sure that you are aware of when that application window opens up.
Yeah, I think that's a big marketing thing there too. That angle specifically is we couldn't fund these types of public goods with any other mechanism. Crypto just happens to be the best way to do it. And so, yeah, there's a strong message there for public goods first, powered by Ethereum, or you know what I mean. So there's a
Absolutely.
way to
Yep.
reach normie Web2 status projects that are into public goods, and just show them how inexpensive it is to do it on this platform. It's pretty incredible. How many teams were in this latest round? Was it Epoch 5? Is that correct?
Yeah, we're in the Epoch 5 allocation window right now, which is what the term we use for an active round. 30 projects in total, and so
30.
you can go. Yeah, you already got it up there. So if you go to the top right hand corner, you're going to see that there's this little drop down menu where it says randomized.
Yeah.
Click on that, and you can go from high to low, and then that'll actually show the current rankings.
Cool.
It looks like a whale came in and donated about 10 ETH to I think 5 or 6 projects. So that definitely heavily skewed some of those projects that you see up there at the top. I know the Mavericks were doing really, really well until that whale came in and flipped his weight around a little bit. But yeah, the round that or the mechanism that we're using right now is quadratic funding. So it's much more of a democratic mechanism versus that plutocracy that we had in much earlier rounds. So yeah, really excited to see that the Doots is up there, right next to Pizza DAO, another amazing project that's providing value to the ecosystem. But yeah, the round is open until October 27th, which is a Sunday. We're bound right now with our code. We have to run these rounds every 90 days, and so that's why unfortunately the round started and is ending on a Sunday. It wouldn't be the most ideal choice, but with that protocol that I was mentioning in the beginning of the share, that's also going to allow us to run rounds in a much more flexible nature. So we're not going to be bound to running rounds every 90 days. We could spin up multiple rounds simultaneously or at whatever cadence we want to.
Just for a second here, we have 38 donors, so 38 individuals have donated. That's awesome, I think we owe a big thanks to Ben Broad for getting out there on Warpcast and Twitter and in the Discord and helping to push that. It's really something incredible. So total current total 3.9, almost 4 ETH across 38 donors. And since it's quadratic funding, friends, you don't have to be a whale. You just need to be a person that wants to pitch in a little bit, and then it gets quadratically matched. It's really phenomenal. So yeah, we're thinking we'll just redistribute this stuff out. I've personally donated to more than one project on Octant in this round, and yeah, it's neat. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a flywheel of flywheels. And as time goes on, I just see it's building. You had 30 this epoch. How many did you have in the first epoch? Do you know?
I think we had 18 or 24. I can't remember the first round, and then we started allocating even more of our staking rewards to the matching pool, which was the catalyst for opening it up to more projects. So as funding grows with Octant, we're definitely going to be looking to scale it up to more and more participants for each round. We just want to make sure that we're providing impactful funding for the projects that are participating. So, one of the things that we've heard from projects that participate in various grant rounds is that some of these rounds are so big that the funding that each project gets is fairly minimal, or it's not extremely supportive, because there's so many different projects that funding goes to. It kind of waters down the impact of what can go to each project specifically. So that was the intention on having a limited amount of projects that participate in the round, is so that there is impactful funding that goes to the projects that do in fact participate.
And how long approximately is each epoch?
So yeah, maybe we can chat about that really quickly. So some of the things that we have within Octant, a little bit confusing. So an epoch is defined by the 90-day period that we are accumulating staking rewards.
Oh.
And so When an allocation window opens up, the next epoch simultaneously opens up, because as we're in an active round, the next phase of us accumulating rewards for that upcoming round has already begun. So Epoch 6 has actually already started
Oh,
while we are in the Epoch 5 allocation window. Not the best terminology. We're definitely going to be, switching things up so that it's a little more comprehensible, because I get messages every single round telling me that there's a typo in our application, but that's just because the allocation window and the next epoch actually overlap with one another.
okay. So Orson has a follow-up question on Discord. James, a follow-up question: is there a specific person I should talk to discuss whether a project is worth submitting, or should I just submit it and see where it goes?
You could
Okay.
do both. Yeah, as I was telling him, for anybody here interested, jump into our Discord. I'm more than happy to jam with you on generally what is eligible and what is not. Because there are a finite amount of spaces, we have a snapshot poll right now that decides which projects get onboarded into the next round. And so, while the project could very well be eligible, we get many more projects trying to join versus the amount of spaces that we do have. So there is a little bit of a barrier there, and something that I hope that we can create a little more inclusivity around as the price of Ethereum hopefully begins to skyrocket into our next super cycle in 2025.
Laughs in Solana and Bitcoin, the barbell of the eternity of we only love pain and struggle. That's as we quietly. It's like
oh man, channel that 2021 super cycle energy, man. It's
dude.
coming back every 4 years.
It's always like a switch. As soon as it happens so fast, people are like in disbelief already, and the party hasn't even started. And it's like the daily has like 2,000 comments, and it's like, man,
yeah,
we make our best friends in the bear market. Where were you? It's like, oh my god, this is just. Hey, but don't worry. Don't worry. This election's gonna fix everything.
absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'll stop. I'll stop.
Oh, no, it's all good. So maybe I'll share a couple more things before
Sure.
I got a jet. So we've been running something called the Octant Accelerator. There were 14 projects that were chosen to be a part of this cohort where when we were chatting with the EF and a bunch of other folks deep in the grant space back in ETH Denver in February, we recognized there's so many projects out there that need support beyond the financial. And so that was the intention around running this accelerator, where we're not taking any money whatsoever. We just wanted to be able to provide value to projects that have potential, but that need that support beyond the financial. So over the past few weeks, we've been having industry leaders, around fundraising, around marketing, around product, around so many different areas that have been coming in and sharing with this group of 14 projects how they can really maximize their success in all of these different areas. And so it has been a tremendous success. I'm totally blown away by the quality of the content that has been shared. And so the reason I bring this up is because we're going to be having a demo day next Thursday at 8 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. So same time as when the Doots started today. So I can drop a Luma link into the chat. I'll break it up here so that I don't get yelled at again. But if you want to come to that demo day, please do come. It's free to sign up. We would love to have you there. A lot of amazing projects, including a lot of PGF. Nico is going to be sharing with you in a couple weeks about that. A lot of amazing projects are going to be sharing, what their experience has been and what they've been working on. So, would love for you all to attend if you're able to. And if not, no worries. We do plan on running another accelerator next year, and hopefully it's going to be even better from what we ran this round, which is saying something, because again, I can't emphasize enough like how impactful and how much of a success this first round has been for us. And then one last thing is I'll mention is we have a lot of different ways for folks to contribute and potentially get paid. through Octant. So if you're looking maybe for a little side cash or just ways to be able to get more involved, we have a lot of ways to do that. Jump into the Octant Discord and you can find out more about how to do all that. I can drop that link into the chat as well. But yeah, would love to get more involved with everybody from the Doots community. If there were folks that missed out on one of those onboarding calls that we had previously, then let's talk. I'll sync with B Broad here, and we'll talk about how we might be able to set another one of those calls up sometime in November, so that we can get more of the Doots community involved in Octant and expressing, what public goods matter to them.
Very cool.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, when are we going to do Octant barbecue in Denver this year? Do you think?
Ooh.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would love to do something in Denver. I'll start planting the seeds for many of my Polish team members, because they know how to deal with the cold. Warsaw, I guess, is just as cold as Denver in February, so they'll probably be coming over in t-shirt and pant or shorts. So yeah, I'll follow up with you on that, because man, I don't think they have tasted some good KC barbecue yet, and that is a freaking treat. So I'd love to make that happen.
Well, you helped make it happen about 3 years ago or two. When was it? 3 years ago, I think. God, is it
3 years ago, man? Yeah,
that
crazy.
was the first one. Literally, how did we meet? We literally met in the lobby at registration or some shit. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was at a Wallet Connect event.
Yeah.
So I mentioned to you, like, hey man, I'm going to be dropping by this Wallet Connect event or something. It was like a Wallet Con, I think.
Yeah, Wallet Con. It was like a side hustle. It was a side hustle.
Yeah,
venue.
Totally.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, we got to meet at WalletCon, and then it was just it was music ever since.
Yeah, because I think it started off with I'm in town to cook barbecue for Kevin Owaki at the Gitcoin Castle, and
yeah,
and James is like, oh, that sounds fun, and I'm like, yeah, and I need help. So he literally, James hopped in my minivan and was helping me out. We went to the store together. It was just like, man, you just never know how a connection could spread. And here we are 3 years later, and you still have beautiful hair and I still don't. And just a man, dude. You look good. You got your freaking lumberjack shirt on and a perfectly manicured beard. I'm just over here sucking on Folgers, God dang. Hey,
well, awesome, man.
Anything else you want to throw at us? Anybody else got any questions in the chat, or you can unmute and ask questions directly? Because I know James says his handlers told him he's got another meeting coming up.
I do, but yeah, happy to answer any questions if there's anything anyone wants to ask. And then as I have more of a technical dive into how that protocol is going to work, maybe I can bring on somebody else from the team as well, and we can get it into the nitty gritty sometime later this year, early 2025.
Fantastic.
But yeah, if there's any questions, happy to answer them as best as I can.
Okay. Well, with that, if we don't have any other questions, I'm going to move on to the Doots. My man, you just do an Irish goodbye when it's time to go, but we'd love to have you stick around as long as you can to be a color commentator if anything tickles your fancy. Let's hear from you, James, and anyone else in Discord. This show is for you. So let's go straight on over to this week's list. It looks like Benito 2030 has some thoughts on the unit chain, and then Here I Am Alive brings their own unit chain connection, brings their own unit chain question. Benito 2030, some thoughts. Now, if that means fees go down, that's obviously good. If that means that more value goes to L2s, that's probably also good. Even if it fragments stuff in the beginning, in the end, that's one more step towards on-chain price discovery. What I think is interesting is what this means for Max Resnick's thesis. Uniswap is like 40% of DeFi, and the other 40% being Aave, 20% long tail. And if that moves to an L2, the whole L1 is for DeFi argument is kind of obsolete. I don't think this is just an L1 fee decision. This is more control of the product. For instance, block times and value capture. DeFi just moved off of L1. If I understand things correctly, Aave V4 is also building towards that. They are just not building their own chain, but bridges between all L2 markets to create one bug liquidity pool. There's two more things we need abstracting the chains away for the user and fix the fragmentation of liquidity. And then this whole discussion is hopefully over. Here I Am Alive responds, if Unichain is an Ethereum L2, why is it so bad that can tank the price of it? You guys are making me afraid. Benito 2030 is a Deuter 149, and Here I Am is a Deuter 14 for this week. Beautiful. Lots of questions going on with that. User Someday It's Dark isn't feeling concerned for the burn. User Someday It's Dark is a Deuter number 19. I'm real tired of hearing that ETH is effed because free blobs are temporarily affecting the burn, as though the burn is the only thing that drives the value of ETH. Do any other cryptos even have a burn mechanism? LMAO. I guess everyone is screwed, huh? Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's funny like how the concerned trolls on Twitter will just gravitate to the one hot topic and blanket the entire protocol. It's like, man, you got a lot more things in the Swiss Army knife than just a fee burn to attack ETH. User 10K is FUD. ETH 10K is FUD is doing the math after yesterday's conversation. ETH 10K is FUD is a Deuter 101. Wow, up on the list. User CryptoWell Currency started a great discussion yesterday around Bitcoin's security budget with the question, when will it break? Let's try to do some napkin maths. Bitcoin paid $27 million to miners yesterday. 97% of it was issuance. The market cap secured by this is around $1.2 trillion. On a relative basis, that is 27 divided by 1.2, which equals $22 million of security per day for every trillion USD market cap. In less than 4 years, that will be $11 million of security per day for every trillion USD market cap. And then in 8 years, $6 million. At $6 million per day, that's around $2.2 billion of economic security per year per trillion. Industrial miners are generally looking to return on investment in less than a year on their hardware investment. So let's assume the cost of the hardware deployed to earn this $2.2 billion is around $2.2 billion. This 1 year ROI is also close to what is observed on the network today, using the numbers estimated by Justin Drake in this tweet, and the link is at dailydoots.com. This gives an attacker a price of around $2.2 billion in hardware spent per trillion in USD in Bitcoin market cap to achieve 51% of network power in 8 years' time. Not taking into consideration the large economies of scale advantage an attacker would get. CoinGlass currently shows a 24-hour BTC puts options volume of around 1 billion at a current market cap of 1.2 trillion. So getting a short position that could capitalize on the attack seems very doable. Even if Bitcoin's price 10x's within the next 8 years, let's say 12 trillion market cap, that would put the total price of attack at $26 billion. Around 80 individuals on the Forbes list currently has this amount on their own. I'm inserting my own comment here. 80 individuals on the Forbes currently list having that on their own is all tied up in different kinds of assets and stuff. Like, I don't know how many people actually just have 26 billion liquid in the world. Anyway, for nation states, this is still peanuts. There's actually the real point, and could most likely be made profitable by any group amassing this amount of capital. At this market cap, MicroStrategy's holdings alone would be worth around 6x this amount. Bitcoin in its current state will not be secure in 8 years. Markets are forward-looking. I believe we'll see serious infighting in 4 years. The iceberg is straight ahead, and the captain has left the ship. Banger. This is really concerning, I think, and it's something that has been discussed ad nauseum over and over for years and years, and it keeps getting pushed back. You know, Bitcoin price goes up, and then they say, you know, if it goes down, then blah, 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 miners will readjust. Are they, though? Because I just feel like the hash rate keeps going up despite all that. And I don't know. I'd like to pull up a chart, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'd rather just talk out my ass. All right. Iter ad astra. Let's assume that ETH continues to crab indefinitely. Iter ad astra is a deuter number 55. Let's assume that ETH continues to crab indefinitely while other crypto, Bitcoin, and stocks and real estate keep climbing. And inflation means that everything not going up is losing value. Oh, thank you, James, by the way. Cheers, brother. Oh, okay. You said, I thought you were leaving. You're still in the chat. Good. How many months, years, decades would you keep holding? Would you still be holding in December 2026 if the price is 2,600? Would you still be holding in May 2029 if the price is 2,400? What if it's 2031 and ETH is ranked number 4 or 5 on the market cap with Solana, Tron, Sui, or Cardano, LOL, being higher? Staking has enough APY to keep me satisfied for now, and I still think there's going to be a bull eventually, but it's been years since a proper bull run, and it's making me sad. Everything else in my extremely ETH-heavy portfolio is outperforming. The price is low enough that I should be dollar cost averaging, since I've said before that this is what I do sub 2,500, but for this month, I'll just consider not selling my monthly staking proceeds as my own DCA. I do think election week and January are going to be very telling on crypto and Ethereum's medium-term price action, and I'm going to have to reassess my long-term plan after that. But I suspect I'm going to be doing this holding thing for another couple of years. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. User Goobergal97. Great username. Goobergal97, it would be pretty bizarre for ETH to be in this range into 2030. Goobergal97 is a deuter number 3, a newcomer. Love it. It would be pretty bizarre for ETH to be in this range into 2030. It will either break up or down by then, and considering the competition doesn't stack up in a variety of ways, I'm still betting on it breaking up. In TA terms, we've really only been crabbing since March of this year. I know when we look at last cycle's PA, it's like, quote, why haven't we broke our all-time high yet, unquote. But it's just ETH's beta being higher relative to BTC. We're catching the downside volatility right now, but later in this cycle, I suspect that it will catch that beta with positive price action and vastly outperform by this time next year. Last cycle, ETH put in roughly 6,000% gains from the cycle bottom to the top. 1/10 of that price performance gets ETH to roughly 6K, 1/5 to 12K. I think even with diminishing returns, things look bright for us. 1/5 isn't even the limit. 1/3 is even possible, in my opinion, which would take ETH to roughly 20K. Expecting 5-figure ETH is realistic this cycle. Yeah. It's so hard when you're sitting in the middle of the tornado to see the blue sky above. Very well said. Okay, Splinter Cole is a deuter number 7, also a relative newcomer. Splinter Cole is so fatigued of crypto stuff, but drops a list of DeFi things they are using often. Hey, there's the spirit. I'm so fatigued of crypto stuff that the last farming I did was to diversify my ETH into different LRST. Okay. Now that I'm only waiting for Swell and Diva Nectar, I'm feeling glad it's over, so to speak. I missed the OP number 5 airdrop and will miss Scroll and Linnea Net, etc. Just because I couldn't get myself to keep getting farmed. After years in crypto and DeFi, there is currently 2 things I'm using often as non-well LPer and a Ponzi yield farmer. Ponzi yield farmer. Man, that needs to go on a cowboy hat. That's hilarious. I might put, you know what? I got an idea. By the way, I'm interjecting. I started a construction job and I have a hard hat. I might put that on there just to confuse other people on the job. So, number 1, sports betting has become competitive with the best bookies, and betting without middlemen from your wallet is amazing. Shout out to all the teams working on this. In my experience, SXBet, Thales, and overtimemarkets.xyz, Azuro, bookmaker.xyz. Okay, let's see. It's overtimemarkets.xyz and bookmaker.xyz. Has everything I need as a casual bettor. And then number 2, Gnosis Pay Visa card is next level awesome in my opinion. Getting 4% cash back on my spending and being able to just put euros into my Gnosis safe address and spend is amazing. And number 3 and 4, honorable biased mention, should be my heavy bags of SNX and WinR, that's WINR SNX, because they have started a work on renewing to hopefully be relevant in DeFi again after getting left behind in innovation and token price at all-time low. WINR, WINR, because they seemingly try to take gambling completely on-chain, plus give users the option to single-side LP or liquidity pool in the pools that are EV for the house, that are plus EV for the house. So there you go. Splinter Cold, good stuff. Moving on, a warm welcome to user Alexis Keff's wife, user Al Frufru, who has a question from her online crypto course about BTC scripts. So Alexis Keff is a duder number 58, and Al Frufru is brand new to the community. Welcome in. Let's see. Boom. I got too many tabs open. Now I screwed up. Okay. My wife, who is doing an online course on crypto, yes, just asked my help in understanding the value blindness part of the following part of her studying material. It quotes, the 2014 Ethereum white paper by Vitalik Buterin, the founder, identified key limitations in Bitcoin scripting capabilities. Here's the bullet point that matters. Value blindness. Bitcoin scripts cannot natively assess the value of transactions. And it goes on, Ethereum was designed to overcome these limitations and to address the need for creating new blockchains for different functions. Okay, I told her I know some super friendly people who will definitely help. You know what's funny about asking questions about Bitcoin? You can come to Ethfinance and get a pretty reasonable answer, the technical answers. Okay, I'll read directly from Reddit. A couple of the replies here. DFWit, duder number 4, says, pretty sure, okay, this is regarding value blindness and Bitcoin scripts cannot natively assess the value of transactions. DFWit says, pretty sure it means exactly what is written. Okay, if you look at the list of opcodes in the script below, and it goes to en.bitcoin.it, and it's the wiki, all the functionality boils down to creating systems to enforce how UTXOs, which are chunks of Bitcoin, can be spent, as well as when using the various opcheck opcodes. But there is no way to access the amount of Bitcoin in this deliberately limited system. Another way of putting it is that probably drives home the point. Bitcoin script only controls whether a certain output can be spent, true or false. That's it. There you go. Okay. My man, why can't script? Okay, my main question is, this is going back to Al Frufru. My main question is, since Bitcoin is mainly used for transactions, why can't its scripts assess the value of transactions? I cannot understand this. If anyone could elaborate. H-Blast comes in hot from ChatGPT. Value blindness in the context of Bitcoin scripts refers to the limitation that Bitcoin scripting language cannot inherently determine or assess the value of the transactions being processed. This means that while Bitcoin can handle the transfer of coins and enforce certain rules like validating signatures and ensuring conditions for spending, it does not have built-in mechanisms to evaluate or differentiate the monetary value of those transactions. In practical terms, this means that scripts can execute based on certain conditions, but they can't make decisions based on the amounts involved. For example, a script could specify that a certain condition must be met to spend coins, but it wouldn't be able to alter behavior based on whether the amount is large or small. This design choice helps maintain a level of simplicity and security, but also means that any value-related logic has to be handled outside the script itself. That's from ChatGPT, courtesy of H-Blast. Thank you. By the way, I met Alexis Keff and his lovely wife at ETH Denver. I believe it was at an Anthony Sassano meetup at a brewery somewhere, and they gave me an awesome beacon chain hoodie, and I still wear it. Maybe I'll wear it on a show sometime. It's lovely. Okay, 2 more for the week. User AAJ094 who is a Deuter number 31. Italy is increasing capital gains tax on crypto from 26% to 42%. Holy smokes. Is that all capital gains, including long-term? That's crazy. Yikes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll never understand that level of taxes. And yeah, it's crazy. Why would you crush a market like that? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe folks in Italy just like that. They enjoy paying all that. Okay. People in Italy taking the risk, but having to pay 42%. Crazy. And finally for this week, user professional noise X, Radiant Capital exploited.revoke all Radiant contract addresses as a safety measure. ASAP. I feel like I'm not reading this correctly. Okay, Radiant Capital exploited. Revoke all Radiant contract addresses as a safety measure ASAP. Professional Noise X is a Deuter number 3. RIP to a lot of money, according to X.com. 0x Shual says, there it is. It's telling you right there, get rid of it. Revoke all Radiant contract addresses. There we go. Radiant Capital exploited a couple hours ago. Revoke your approvals on Arbitrum, Boost, and BSC if you are still in time. Good morning to everyone. Well, very good. Looks like that is going to wrap it up for this week. I'm going to just throw this out there again. I'm going to put this podcast on pods.media. If you could help us out, mint this episode. It's free. It's like a penny on optimism or something. I'll have it up hopefully within the next 30 to 40 minutes and get on the wallet list, and so we can start to play around with possibly doing some drops after we get some funding going. I do like this idea of possibly doing like a small cash prize and then doing a Golem prize as well. If people want to just put some Golem back in, or if they want to cash it out, it's up to them. But you could at least spend some money on different projects within the Octant umbrella. It's pretty neat what they're doing. I'm really glad James could come by today and share some alpha with us. So thanks so much to everybody for hanging out with me today, and James and the rest of you guys, the crew. Thanks to all the people that helped put all this together. It's been a really good journey. I can't believe it's been an 83rd episode. Amazing. Well, stick around after the live stream because we continue the party in the hotel lobby on Discord for a bonus hour of popcorn. It's a fun place to let loose when the parents aren't watching on YouTube. Hi, Mom. On behalf of Ethfinance and the EV Maverick Style, my name is JT. Cheers and big hugs from Kansas City.